It has been 130 years since the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche declared that God is dead. This is perhaps one of the best known statements of all philosophy. Nietzsche said, God is dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderer of all murderers? Nietzsche, like me, was an atheist all his adult life. He didn't mean that there was a God who had actually died, but rather our idea of God has died. So today, like Friedrich Nietzsche, I will attempt to kill God. If I succeed, it will be a good thing for everybody. Really, it will be a bright morning. We will do away with the old system of meaning. We will then create a new one. I know that the religious have fears that if we remove the concept of God from public life, it could bring the worst in human nature, that there will be despair, that they will be meaningless. So let me say this, that even after we kill God, life will still have meaning. I killed God a long time ago, and I've seen a lot of meaning in my life. I will focus on the cosmological argument and the problem of evil in my main arguments. You know, in the 19th century, there was a book that was written by Arthur Schopenhauer. It's called The World as Will and Representation. And what Arthur Schopenhauer said was, and I quote, "But the Christian idea that a God was happy with the creation of all this misery is unacceptable. Two things make it impossible for any rational person to believe the world was created by an omniscient, omnipotent, omnibenevolent being. There is a pervasiveness of evil, and there is the imperfection of human beings." The Greek philosopher Epicurus also laid down the logical arguments from evil as follows. If an omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent God exists, then evil does not, which makes a lot of sense, because God is considered to be the source of good, as you've heard from my good friend. He is omnipotent, omnibenevolent. But there is evil in the world. Therefore, logically, an omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent God cannot logically exist. I find this argument to be valid. God exists, God is omnipotent, God is omniscient, God is omnibenevolent, but then again, evil exists. That is a contradiction that I would invite anybody to think about. My friend has presented what we call the cosmological argument for the existence of God. In fact, if you told an average believer that you're an atheist, they'll probably ask you, where do you think everything came from? Who created you? Who created the world? Who created the stars, the universe? Who created the cosmos? There's a problem with that argument because it makes some assumptions. And I want to just challenge that argument by saying that the fact that one has a mother, you came from a mother, you were born by a mother, does not mean that the universe has a mother. The fact that trees come from seeds does not mean that all trees have come from seeds in the lineage of trees and seeds. That is the objection to the idea that God exists, that we have a first beginning. It does not follow that just because we see things as having a source, a cause, that there has to be a first cause. In fact, I would go ahead and argue that then it is possible to have an infinite regression because you cannot argue on one side alone. So I have a big problem with the advancement of the fact that everything in the universe has a cause. And I will be trying to see how that argument, and I'll be challenging my good friend on that as well. Why can't the universe be eternal? Can't there be an infinite chain of cause and effect? This is the question that David Hume asked in his argument against the first cause argument. I think what I want to do at this point, because of time, is just to invite believers to remove themselves from the idea that everything has to have a beginning. Everything has to have a cause. That argument is not consistent. It is possible that there are some things that don't need causes. It is possible that you can live in a world where we don't know the cause, the first cause, the first beginning of everything.